Have you ever wondered where your blood comes from? It's not just something that's always there. Your body is constantly making more of it. Deep inside your biggest bones, there is a special, spongy place called bone marrow. This is your body's personal blood factory. It works all day, every day, to produce all the different types of blood cells you need to stay healthy and strong. These cells include red blood cells that carry oxygen, white blood cells that fight off germs, and platelets that help you stop bleeding when you get a cut. This factory is one of the most important parts of your body, working silently to keep you alive and well. Scientists have always been fascinated by bone marrow. Understanding how it works is key to fighting many serious diseases, especially blood cancers like leukemia. If something goes wrong in this factory, the body can't make the healthy blood cells it needs. For a long time, studying this process was very difficult. Bone marrow is hidden deep inside our bones, so we can't just look at it easily. To understand it better, researchers needed a way to watch the blood-making process up close, but creating a working model of this complex system outside the human body has been a huge scientific challenge for many years. For decades, the main way to study bone marrow and test new medicines was by using animals, like mice. Scientists would study the bone marrow in mice to guess how a new drug might affect humans. While this method taught us a lot, it has some big problems. A mouse's body is not the same as a human's body. Their bone marrow works a little differently, so a drug that works perfectly in a mouse might not work at all for a person, or it could even cause harmful side effects. This difference means that research can be slow and sometimes misleading, which is why scientists have dreamed of a better way. The big goal has always been to study human bone marrow directly, but in a safe way that doesn't involve a person. Imagine if you could have a tiny piece of working human bone marrow right in a lab dish. You could test new drugs on it, watch how diseases develop, and learn exactly how our cells work without ever needing an animal. This would make research faster, more accurate, and much safer for people who are waiting for new treatments. This dream is now becoming a reality, thanks to some incredible scientists who have figured out how to build a mini blood factory in their lab. A team of brilliant scientists at the University of Basel in Switzerland decided to tackle this challenge head-on. They wanted to build something that acts just like real human bone marrow. Their idea was to create an artificial or human-made version of the bone marrow environment. To do this, they couldn't just use a simple plastic dish. They knew that the structure of the bone marrow was just as important as the cells inside it. So they started by designing a special kind of scaffold. This scaffold is like the frame of a house, providing the structure where the cells can live and grow properly. This special scaffold was made from a ceramic material which is hard and porous, much like real bone. The scientists engineered it to have tiny, interconnected pores and channels, creating a three-dimensional structure that mimics the spongy texture of actual bone marrow. This design is incredibly important because it gives the cells a place to anchor themselves and communicate with each other, just like they would inside your body. It's not just a flat surface, it's a complex three-dimensional world for the cells to live in. This intricate structure is one of the key secrets to making the artificial bone marrow work so well. Once they had the scaffold, the next step was to add the most important ingredient, human stem cells. These aren't just any cells, they are special hematopoietic stem cells, which are the master cells responsible for creating all other blood cells. The scientists carefully placed these human stem cells inside the porous ceramic scaffold. The idea was that if the environment was just right, these stem cells would feel at home and start behaving as if they were in a real bone. They would begin the amazing process of differentiation, turning into the different types of blood cells that our bodies need. This was the moment of truth for the research team. They had successfully combined human cells with their specially designed artificial bone structure. They had built a tiny organoid, a miniature simplified version of an organ, that was designed to function as a blood factory. This wasn't just a collection of cells in a dish anymore. It was a living, working system that had the potential to produce human blood cells, outside of the human body. The scientists had essentially created a mini human bone marrow in their lab, a powerful new tool for science and medicine. One of the most important concepts for understanding bone marrow is the niche. You can think of a niche as a special neighborhood or a perfect home for stem cells. Inside our bones, the niche is a very specific microenvironment that provides all the signals and support that stem cells need to do their job correctly. It controls when they divide, when they rest, and what kind of blood cells they become. Without this perfect niche, the stem cells would get confused and might not produce the right cells, or they might grow out of control, which can lead to diseases like cancer. The scientists at the University of Basel knew that recreating this niche was the most critical part of their project. Their ceramic scaffold was designed to be the physical part of this niche, but it needed more. So they also added other types of human cells that are normally found in bone marrow. These support cells help create the biological signals that the stem cells need to thrive. By combining the right physical structure with the right supporting cells, they were able to create a functional niche in their lab-grown model. This was a massive breakthrough for the project. In this carefully constructed niche, the human stem cells began to work their magic. For several weeks, the scientists observed the mini organoid and found that it was successfully producing different kinds of blood progenitor cells, the cells that are on their way to becoming mature red and white blood cells. This proved that their artificial bone marrow wasn't just a static structure, it was a dynamic, living factory. The stem cells were staying alive and, more importantly, they were functioning just as they would inside a human, all thanks to the artificial niche that had been built for them. The success of this artificial niche is what makes this model so powerful. It allows researchers to study the complex interactions between stem cells and their environment in a controlled way. They can change parts of the niche to see how it affects blood production. For example, they can see what happens when they introduce a specific gene mutation associated with leukemia or add a chemical that might interfere with the niche's signals. This gives them a window into the very beginning of blood diseases, something that was nearly impossible to see before this technology was developed. The creation of this miniature blood factory opens up a whole new world of possibilities for medical research and drug development. Now, scientists can test new drugs on a model that uses real human cells and mimics a real human organ. This is a huge leap forward from relying on animal models. When testing a new drug for a blood cancer, for example, researchers can add it directly to the bone marrow organoid and see exactly how the human cancer cells respond. This will help them identify promising drugs much faster and with greater accuracy, reducing the time and cost of development. Furthermore, this technology paves the way for personalized medicine. Every person's body is slightly different, and a treatment that works for one person might not work for another. In the future, it may be possible to take a small sample of a patient's own stem cells and use them to grow a personalized bone marrow organoid in the lab. Doctors could then test a variety of different drugs on that patient's specific model to find the one that is most effective and has the fewest side effects. This would be a truly customized treatment plan, tailored to the individual's unique biology. This innovative model will also allow scientists to study the development of diseases like never before. They can watch in real time how a healthy bone marrow environment changes when something goes wrong. For example, they can introduce a genetic mutation that is known to cause leukemia and observe the very first steps of the disease. Understanding how these diseases start is crucial for developing ways to prevent them or treat them at a much earlier stage. This research could lead to breakthroughs in our understanding of blood cancers and other bone marrow disorders. Finally, the development of this organoid is a major step toward reducing the need for animal testing in scientific research. By providing a more accurate and relevant model for studying human biology, technologies like this one offer an ethical alternative. The mini blood factory from Basel is more than just a scientific curiosity. It is a powerful tool that promises to make medicine safer, more effective and more personal. It represents a bright future where we can better understand and treat some of the most challenging human diseases, bringing hope to patients and their families around the world.